This research will focus on project-based learning and the effects of PBL on students' academic achievement and motivation at the elementary school level. The research will also explore research-based best practices for implementing authentic, meaningful projects in the classroom. So the problem that I began my capstone project with was the fact that the district curriculum, there was not space in the curriculum for my students to explore their curiosities and take on challenges that would meet their needs, especially students who are gifted or who have gifted tendencies. All students have the right to an education that's transformative and gives them choice and voice. Over the course of an academic year, I will attempt PBL in my ELA block and integrated with social studies and hopefully math and science, because in true PBL everything is integrated. And then I will use assessments of my own that I've created, as well as district assessments, observations, and student surveys to compare with a control group, another first grade classroom, that will not be implementing PBL, in order to determine what effects, if any, PBL had on my students' performance in reading and writing and their motivation for learning. John Dewey is often referred to as the father of education and one of the original pioneers of the project approach. He believes that teachers should act as facilitators who guide students to explore their curiosities, and that education should be connected to the real world and real world. Current research continues to show that project-based learning can improve students' achievement and motivation for learning. In Shin's research, after studying 79 students taking a general English class over 3 months, the data revealed that students in a project-based learning environment had improved attention spans, and based on student surveys, felt that learning was much more relevant and meaningful. In Boston Bayhan study, 50 students in 2 fifth-grade classrooms were evaluated, and the students that were in the project-based environment had many more opportunities to explore multiple levels of intelligence and had many more personalized learning experiences, which contributed to much higher test scores. In another study, 64 teachers were surveyed, and these researchers found that teachers felt much more connected to their work. They were more passionate about the work they were doing because the projects were connected to the community. And they noticed that students' work habits improved when they implemented PBL, and that they took on more difficult, rigorous problems and were willing to compromise and work in teams much better. The data in this study also showed that students' performance on standardized tests improved in the project-based classroom. In Brugar's study, they found that after doing research in a low SES school and a higher SES school, the classrooms that implemented PBL showed higher post-test scores after the unit, and also the study showed that the students in the low SES school were making just the same amount of achievement as the students that were in the high SES schools. So this proved that when implementing PBL, it can be a great tool to close the gap between high and low SES schools. So, top researchers from the Buck Institute, as well as other scholars who are fascinated with PBL, have come up with various strategies for implementing this in your classroom. Mergendaler, Boss, and Larmer are directors at the Buck Institute, which is a nonprofit organization that supports teachers in implementing the project-based approach in their classroom. They've created a gold standard for how to design PBL in your classroom. And then Laura and Ackers have written a book called Developing Natural Curiosity Through Project-Based Learning, and they've given 5 different strategies that teachers can use to implement it. So in the following section of this presentation, I'll be sharing a combination of both of these theories to create a step-by-step guide for teachers who are interested in implementing this. to implementing PBL is to design an authentic project, which can be one of the most difficult steps of all. Many teachers choose to use the standards to find themes and go from there to create authentic challenges. Laura and Acker suggest holding yourself accountable to the following questions as you are beginning to design a project for your students. You need to ask yourself, well, what kind of challenge is it? What do you want students to accomplish? What do they already know about it? What experts can you recruit from the community to help? What resources will you need? And a few ideas that Mergendahl, Boss, and Larmer give for different types of projects are giving students a real-world problem, designing an authentic challenge, giving them an abstract question, or introducing an investigation, or having them debate a position. The following step would be aligning the project to standards. So after you've began with priority standards and you've generated an authentic problem or project for your students, you map out the unit and decide how long you want it to be and what resources you'll need. And then you can begin to tack standards from all content areas into the unit. And Laura and Acker really emphasize in their book integrating subjects as often as possible to make learning richer for your students. Step 3 would be management and collaboration. So before you ever begin launching a project, especially if students are new to PBL, it's very important to conduct a series of lessons that teach the culture of teamwork and collaboration, and also the logistics of where students can find resources for their project, the expectations of the project, what a good teammate looks like. With the younger kids, this can be very new for them, so explicitly modeling teamwork in a fishbowl setting could really help kids see what it looks like to work with others, because sometimes that can be the most complicated part of the entire process, is learning to compromise and collaborate effectively. So throughout the learning process in PBL, it's so important to have checkpoints to assess how students are doing with the content and the challenge being presented. So researchers suggest having student self-assessments, lots of observations. You could even have them create portfolios, giving students rubrics so they know what the end product needs to look like, having lots of discussions and conferences so that learners know what the expectation is, and so that you know if they're learning the content. One of the most important key components of PBL is reflection. So having kids present and then reflect on what they've learned is a key component to that gold standard that the experts have put out there. So step 5 in the PBL process is the presentation. And this is one of the most important steps as well, because it's the whole goal of everything for kids. They know that they're working on something that has a purpose, and they know that they're going to be presenting it to an audience. And so when kids have the opportunity to share their learning with others, the work they do is much grander than something that they don't feel connected to or that they know won't be shared. So what I've seen in my classroom with a little bit of this that I've done already is that kids can achieve so much more when we give them a purpose. And they want to do so much better because they know that they have an authentic public audience that can learn from them. So putting them in the position of being the expert is really key. Some researchers, Romano, I think his name is, suggested having entire project days at school, so the entire campus could have different stations where students are sharing their presentations, and people can come around like a gallery walk and hear what kids have learned, or just having the space in the classroom and in the schedule to let kids present what they've learned one day out of the unit is very important. So based on research, it is obvious that PBL can help students become more motivated to learn, and it can also help with academic achievement. However, there's definitely more research that needs to be done because some of the studies are inconclusive because it's hard to know if it was PBL or other things that teachers were implementing that contributed to that success. So more research needs to be done. More professional development for teachers could help support this in schools. But overall, it's a promising approach to motivate teachers and learners alike. Thank you for listening, and good luck on your capstone project.